Today on the channel, the Jakks Classic Superstars wish lists continue. As today on the channel, I'm counting down my top 10 most wanted Jakks Classic Superstars 2-packs.
The spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Welcome everyone, Kyle here, and welcome back to the channel for another Jakks Classic Superstars countdown video. As today we're counting down my 10 most wanted 2-packs that never happened in the Jakks Classic Superstars line. As we all know, Jakks Classic Superstars gave us many figures, and we reviewed them all over the last 2 years. So if you missed any of the series, the set breakdowns, check that out. I got a playlist on the channel that has all the videos as we've dived through everything. Now we're at the point of doing the top 10, top 5 list and most wanted list. And last week on the channel, if you're watching in order, we counted down the top 10 most wanted single carded figures, at least by me. And as always in these top 10, top 5 countdown videos on the channel, I ask you guys to put your list in the comments down below. As this is my list, this is my spin of what I wanted. I'd love to hear what you wanted. I'd love to hear it in order. And today, we're talking about the 2-packs. It's very easy to say Jakks Classic Superstars tag teams, but if you go back and watch those videos, or you know the history of the figures, there was tag teams involved, but primarily there would seem to be a lot of feud packs. Like you would get The Rock and Stone Cold, Roddy Piper, Jimmy Snuka. So some great feuds over the years. And I gotta be honest, I like those, but the ones I like the most are the tag team packs. The straight up tag team packs, the Demolitions, the Killer Bees, the LODs, and so forth. Those were the ones that I enjoyed the most in the 2-packs. And you're going to see that. That is how my list is going to be skewed. Because, yeah, it's great to have some of those, rivalry packs and stuff. The Warrior Hulk Hogan, for example. It's great to have that. But to me, it's all about those tag teams. And tag team wrestling is a little bit of a lost art these days. Way back in the 80s when I was growing up, it was all about a lot of those tag teams. I absolutely love those tag teams. And I viewed them as, just as big as a lot of the other groups of the single wrestlers. Like the Hogan and Warriors, I put the Road Warriors and Demolition right up there with those guys. And a lot of that has changed over the years. But one thing is for certain, the Jakks 2-packs were very cool. I really did enjoy those as a whole. Like I said, check out those videos on the channel if you missed any of those as we deep dive through all of them. But now is the time. It's time for my list. My top 10 Jakks Classic Superstars 2-packs that never were. All right, let's kick it off, and we kick it off at number 10 as we work our way to the number 1 spot. And number 10 is a little bit of that smoke and mirrors. As last week I did my single-carded ones I wanted, well, this one was also on that, and they're also going to be in a 2-pack. So what is it? One of my favorite tag teams that have never had figures for whatever reason. We're talking about the fabulous Rujo brothers coming in at number 10. Now, how would I like to see that? I would like to see that done. Like I said last week, they were in my top 10 missing single packs. Well, we saw Demolition, we saw Killer Bees, we saw the Hardys, we saw a lot of tag teams in single carded releases. Well, they did that because you could get a little bit more accessories, more things like that. So the single card ones I talked about last week would be great with their fabulous Rujo jackets, all that kind of stuff. This would be more wrestling gear, fabulous Rujos in a 2-pack, a tag team 2-pack. Maybe they can get the little flags or something like that. But this is for the tag team one with a little bit more extra accessories in the single carded one. So they are in both these lists. And I don't think the fabulous Rujo brothers would be on either list. I should take that back. They'd probably be on at least one of the lists if we would have gotten a Mattel Elite by now. But we still have not got a Mattel Elite. We never got an LGN. We never got a Hasbro. We never got a Jakks. We've never got an AEW. We've never got a Fabulous Rujo's pack, single card, whatever you want to call it. We've never got any of it. It is time. We do know Power Town says they're bringing the whole Rujo family, even all the way back from the old country. They're all going to get a figures. If your last name is Rujo, you may be getting a figure as well. So I guess that's going to be our best chance to get Jakks and Raymond Rujo. But I'm all in. And at number 10, it is the fabulous Rujos, Jakks and Raymond Rujo. All right, feeling fine at number 9, and you're going to see a pattern here on my list, but number 9 is another tag team. One of the all-time great tag teams, and some people could very well make the argument the greatest tag team of all time. Not for me, but if you think about their career and the titles they've won over different organizations, they got to be at least in a top 5. But for me, they're coming in at number 9 on my most requested 2-packs. A tag team, the Dudley Boys. And not just any Dudley Boys, as we did get some Dudley Boys in the Jakks Ruthless Aggression line. We even got them in the Best of ECW line. But I would love another 2-pack of the Dudleys, a straight-up Dudley 2-pack, maybe very early day ECW or maybe later day ECW. You know, if we didn't have them as far as Jakks Ruthless Aggression figures in the past, this would be way higher on my list. But I still think we didn't get the definite Dudleys 2-pack, and I think the Jakks Class Superstars could have been the spot for them. Maybe they didn't feel superstar at the time, or they didn't feel classic superstars at the time, but after all these years, of course, they belong in the list, and it's just one of those things that was definitely missing out. One of the all-time great tag teams, no matter which way you slice it, is the Dudley Boys, and that's why they came in at number 9 in my top 10 list. All right, we're at the number 8 spot in the 2-pack list, and once again, we go back to a tag team, and this is one of those ones where if you ask most people, they might say, well, they did have a 2-pack. They were involved in the Class Superstars, and they never were. It's one of those things that just feels weird, and I think a lot of people assumed they were in the sets, but they were not. And much like the Rujos we talked about at number 10, I could see these guys being in a tag team set, but also single-carded sets. And who am I talking about? We're talking about the New Age Outlaws, Billy Gunn and Road Dogg. Of course, getting them in Mattel after all these years, but we did not get them in the Classic Superstars set, which seems strange. And like I said, just your mind says, wait, we got those. But a lot of people, I think, are confused, or they think with the X-Pac Triple H Invasion 2-pack that we got, that these were also in a 2-pack as part of the Invasion. We never got them. We never got China as well. We just got the X-Pac and Triple H Invasion 2-pack. That was the best they did. But obviously the New Age Outlaws, a huge deal in the Attitude Era. Probably the biggest tag team in the Attitude Era. And it's just crazy if you think back to Billy Gunn and Road Dogg before then. Talk about putting your powers combined to be greater than the individuals. That's what the New Age Outlaws were. And definitely a career-defining tag team for both of them. I would say their best run of all time. I don't think there's any doubts in that. And Hall of Famers as well. So we'll see. I don't know. It's just shocking. But yeah, for me, number 8, the New Age Outlaws. All right, number 7, we go back to another tag team. Like I said, there's a pattern here of what Kyle likes, but number 7 for me, as far as my most requested 2-packs that never were, goes all the way back to a set of tag teams we got back in the Jakks Bone Cruncher days, and I would say in a lot of ways my favorite tag team of the Bone Crunchers line. Who are we talking about? We're talking about Mosh and Thrash, 2 things I love. We're talking about the Headbangers, and I can't believe we haven't got a Headbangers 2-pack, single-pack, whatever you want to call it, all the way until I think we got Micro Brawlers most recently. But man, we need Mosh and Thrash. We need the Headbangers in the Elite line, and we needed them in the Jakks Classic Superstars line. Definitely a unique look, some face paint, some heavy metal shirts. You know, Kyle, sign me up all day long. It's just one of those ones I really wish we could have got. I felt it would have fit in there, but obviously they weren't with the company, I think, when the Class Superstars were going on. Maybe they didn't want to reach out. Maybe they couldn't come to an agreement. Whatever the reason, we never got the Headbangers, and I would love a 2-pack Headbangers back then, and I would love a 2-pack of the Headbangers right now. So keep your fingers crossed. Maybe the Mattel Elite guys will come through with that one sooner than later. You never know. Stranger things have happened. But number 7 for me, we're talking about the Headbangers. All right, we're at the number 6 spot. And the number 6 spot, our memory's been brought up lately because the Mattel Legends line had a representative of this. And who are we talking about? We're talking about Mean Mark. But what are we talking about as far as 2-packs, as far as tag teams? We're talking about the Skyscrapers, and honestly, I would prefer Sid Vicious and Dangerous Dan Spivey. That is the original Skyscraper team. That's the one I would like in 2-pack form. But if you got to throw me Dan, Spivey, and Mean Mark, I would have took that if Sid wasn't available. But we know Sid was available because we got a Classic Superstars from him. But big dude tag team from back in the old days of WCW, NWA, the kind of turning of the key time frame there. One of my favorite tag teams as a little kid, just seeing these big, gigantic dudes. And just criminally underrated in figure form. Like we talked about it before on the channel, I don't think Dan Spivey's ever had an action figure. That's got to be fixed. I guarantee he's going to get a Power Town. Maybe that figure won't come to fruition, but I guarantee he's on the Power Town list. My heart tells me that is foreseen. I'm sure we'll get that, and probably Mike Rotundo, get a little US Express days. But man, Skyscrapers, criminally underrated in action figure form. It's great we got Mean Mark, but let's get the other 2. We should have got him with the Skyscrapers in the tag team of the Jakks Class Superstars. If we can't get that, hopefully Mattel comes through for us, or at least Power Town. But for me, we're going for the Skyscrapers. All right, we're at the halfway point. Once again, remember to put your list in the comments down below and make sure you put them in order. That is always the challenging part, but put them down there. But number 5 for me, this is another one. Could have put into the singles career, as you could have got 2 single figures of these and their tag team. And this is one of the most underrated WWE tag teams of all time. I think a lot of people would agree with me, and a lot of people might say, you know what, that is criminally underrated. And who are we talking about? We're talking about Hercules. We're talking about Paul Roma. We're talking about Power and Glory. Man, give me Power and Glory all day long. Really would have loved that. Hercules, you could have done the old school, like Gladiator Hercules. Obviously, the swinging of the chain and the trunks Hercules, and then Power and Glory Hercules. Paul Roma, you could have done 4 Horsemen Paul Roma, because why not? You could have done Young Stallions with Jim Powers Paul Roma, and then, of course, the Power and Glory. But Power and Glory was such a great one. It was, once again, it was like an earlier version of Billy Gunn and Road Dogg in a lot of ways. It's 2 guys that were kind of floundering as singles. Hercules has kind of worked his way down the card, bringing them together, turning them heel, letting them go loose, having Slick as their manager. I just think it was a renaissance of their career, and I think a lot more could have been done with them as a tag team. And I know for a fact a lot more could have been done for them as a tag team in action figure form. And still to this day, no Power and Glory, no Paul Roma and Hercules. We know Zombie Sailor's getting involved in that, but I'm looking for the Jakks scale, the Mattel scale, something like that. And would have been a great one in the Jakks Classic Superstars line back in the day. So number 5 for me, Power and Glory. All right, the number 4 spot, we go back to the tag teams. It's all about the tag teams for me, as I said earlier. But tag teams in WCW is what we're going to now, and we're going to Doom at number 4. Yes, Doom, Butch Reed, Ron Simmons, managed by Teddy Long, of course. Boy, I don't know, though. Do I want Doom with the masks on or the masks off? That's the hard part. But I think I'm thinking masks on, because that's where we obviously knew about them first. They seemed a lot more dangerous, and I was one of the only people in the world, probably. I was a little kid, but I didn't know it was Butch Reed and Ron Simmons. That was really my first runaround with Butch Reed. I saw a little bit when he had the dyed blonde hair in the WWF for that little short run. That was kind of when I was coming into wrestling, so I didn't really remember that. So they were new to me, and they unmasked, and a lot of people were like, oh my gosh, that's Butch Reed, Ron Simmons. Well, Kyle was like, who's Butch Reed, who's Ron Simmons, for the most part. But definitely a powerhouse tag team. Some of my favorite tag team matches of all time was their battles with the Horsemen, with Arn Anderson, Barry Windham, Ric Flair, the Street Fight, of course, back in the day. Some really awesome matches. And I was always happy, and I always liked their WCW Galoob figures. Obviously, the Butch Reed, one of the best Galoob figures ever. Ron Simmons, one of the worst. Their powers combined kind of meet in the middle a little bit, but it was fun to have a tag team back then. Would love to get an old school Doom. And talk about getting the most out of your molds. Knowing Jakks and the reuse they did, I mean, you could basically almost have the exact same body with a different head, or you could have just went the exact same figures if they were with the mask. You probably could have got away with that if they wanted to. But Doom, another one, criminally underrated. We got Ron Simmons in the Classic Superstars. Never got Butch Reed, but would have been great to have their powers combined. Would be great to have their powers combined after all these years with Mattel. Who knows, with a lot of WCW figures coming from Mattel these days, maybe there's an opportunity for that one. We'll see. Fingers crossed once again. But right now, we're going with Doom. All right, we're down to the final 3 most requested by me. Tag team, 2-packs, tag team, whatever you want to call it in this top 10 list. But we're at the final 3. And number 3 for me, a lot of people think it would be higher, but selfishly I say, you know what, we've got a lot of these figures in the Classic Superstars already. So I don't feel like they needed to be number 1. They didn't need to be number 2, but I have them pretty high still at number 3. Who am I talking about? We're talking about the Road Warriors. We're talking about the LOD. Now, we got a lot of them, like we said, but the one I wanted the most was the early incarnations of the Road Warriors. You know, coming out to the Black Sabbath Iron Man theme song. We got a little bit of that with Classic Superstars Series 9 Hawk, but we didn't get an animal to match. Something along those lines, a little darker. We did get Mattel with the black spikes. I like that a lot. But I feel the Jakks Class Superstars line could have done a better version of the early days of the Road Warriors, and I just really wish they would have got that. I really wish we could get one now after all this time. There's as many Road Warrior figures as we've gotten over the years. There's been a true lack of Road Warrior figures, if that makes sense. Storm Collectibles, you're my only hope. I would love to see Storm Collectibles come out with an amazing version, similar to other Hulk Hogan's and some of their other figures. I think they would really make an awesome Road Warriors Legion of Doom set. We do know Cella is coming out with some, so in the retro scale, but the Jakks Classic, we did get a lot. We just didn't get the definitive one I was really looking for, and it would have looked great in a 2-pack set. So number 3 for me, the Road Warriors. All right, we're down to the final 2, and number 2 for me maybe isn't on everybody's list. It is a tag team once again, and it is a little bit of Kyle's old blinders going on. It's Kyle's biases and what Kyle likes moving it way up to the list. And like I always say, this is my list. Put your list in the comments below. But number 2 for me would be a little bit of a plain Jane 2-pack. I'm guessing if Classic Superstars did release this. But what am I talking about? I'm talking about the Brothers Funk. You know, the 2 of the funkiest guys you've ever met. We're talking about Dory Funk Jr. We're talking about Terry Funk. And I want like 70s version. Clean cut, shorter hair, no facial hair Terry Funk. Dory Funk Jr., you know, kind of always balding, you know, the 70s Dory Funk champion. Put an NWA title in there, something like that. Maybe a branding iron or 2, dressed up a little bit. But the Funk brothers, I would have loved Dory Funk. He was a big miss in the Classic Superstars. Could have got a great one with some chaps or some kind of cowboy gear, cowboy hat at least. And then a 2-pack, I'm thinking of them in their orange trunks from, you know, Japan and other times they were as tag team. Would have worked really good. Obviously, I'm probably a little biased on this. Like I said earlier, I love the Funk brothers. But this is my number 2 request as far as 2-packs. Brothers Terry and Dory, the Funks. We're at the end of the line like a young traveling Woolberries, and we're at the number 1 spot. Once again, going to remind you to put your list in the comments below and make sure you put them in order. That's the fun part of this. And if you like these videos, these lists, well, we do a top 5, top 10 countdown on the channel every single Thursday, so you don't want to miss those. We're doing a little special ones that's tied into our Jakks Classic Superstars celebration, but you don't want to miss one of these. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video, turn the old notification bell on, and of course it always helps to share the videos as well. And then of course you can get these videos much earlier on Patreon. You can support the channel, you get entered into giveaways, you get exclusive content, a lot going on the old Kyle Peterson Patreon. Once again, a link in the description below. So without further ado, let's talk number 1, and I gotta think most people watching out here are going to agree with me on this one. It is one we've always wanted, and now I think we've wanted more than ever, as they've been inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2022, and I think you guys know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Rick and Scott, the old Steiner brothers, and for me, for their 2-pack, let's take it all the way back. We did get Rick Steiner in the Classic Superstars in the varsity Michigan jacket, but that's what I want. I want the Michigan early version of the Steiners in the 2-packs. I think that would look absolutely fabulous. That's a great starting point for your Steiners. Then you go off into single career runs, little changes, their WWE tag team gear as well. But give me the early version of the Steiners. That's my number 1 request in the 2-packs. We're all holding out hope. We're all keeping our fingers crossed that now that they're in the Hall of Fame, maybe they've agreed to something with Mattel, with WWE, where it would allow Mattel to make their figures, because there is a ton of Steiner brothers. That would really help carry some of the Mattel Elite lines going forward. There's a lot of Steiners we could get in the Legends, regular lines, you name it. It could be Steiner Brother Mania in 2023. We just got to keep our fingers crossed and hold our breath, I guess. Maybe not hold it too long, though. But the Steiner Brothers would have been a fabulous set, and that's why it comes in at number 1 on my top 10 most wanted 2-packs in the Jakks Classic Superstars line. So once again, make sure you put your list in the comments, and then of course follow along on social media at SirPaul64 on Twitter, Instagram, _Kyle_Peterson, and ProWrestlingTees.com. Search Kyle Peterson. So for the little tag team 2-pack action, Jakks Classic Superstars Most Wanted, I am Kyle. See you guys all real soon.